All right, let's jump right in. Today we're going to be looking at a couple of ancient letters written by a man named Paul. And what's so amazing is how they reveal an idea of joy that is, honestly, just as radical and mind-bending today as it was 2,000 years ago.
So check this out. The source material we're digging into starts with this really intriguing claim. It says that one of Paul's letters is his absolute happiest. It even says that this happiness is infectious. You know, the kind that just gets on you when you read it. But here's the thing, and this is where it gets weird. This sets up a huge puzzle because when you find out where Paul was when he wrote it, well, it just doesn't add up at all. And this is where that contradiction just slaps you in the face. On one side of the ledger, you've got his reality. He's writing from a jail cell. His entire life's work, yeah, it's getting torn apart by critics. And after 20 years on the road, the man is just plain exhausted. But then you look at the other side, at his message, and it's all about pure joy, delight, and this infectious happiness. So what is going on here? How is that even possible? That's the mystery we're going to try to solve.
Okay, so to start cracking this puzzle, we have to kind of shift how we think about joy. See, for Paul, it wasn't just a feeling that happens to you. It was more like a skill, something you actually have to learn. And here's a really key point from the source material. You can't just look up joy in a dictionary and get it. It doesn't work that way. This is something that goes way beyond just book smarts or head knowledge. So if you can't learn it from a book, then how do you learn it? Well, the source uses this really cool idea, an apprenticeship. True joy, it says, is a quality you pick up by being around a master, someone who just lives and breathes it. It's about learning through osmosis, almost, not just getting a lecture.
I mean, what does an apprentice really learn from, say, a master carpenter or a musician? It's not just the textbook stuff. It's the feel of it, right? The rhythm, the timing, that special touch you can't put into words. And that's exactly how Paul positions himself here. He's like a master of joy. He's not giving a 10-step plan. He's just living it and saying, come and see.
Okay, so if joy is a skill, what's the raw material? Where does all this come from in the first place? And this is where we get to the core idea. The source calls it an inner overflow. And this is so important. Paul's circumstances, the jail, the critics, being bone tired, totally irrelevant to his joy. It wasn't based on any of that stuff. It was being fueled by something else entirely, a life that was happening on the inside and working its way out. And the engine driving that inner life, it comes down to this really simple but huge idea. At its core, the life of God just can't be contained. You can't put it in a box. It's meant to move.
And that one idea totally redefines what joy is. It's not just a warm, fuzzy feeling. The source calls it life in excess. It's the natural, inevitable overflow of that uncontainable life. Imagine something so big and alive that it just has to spill out of you. That, the source says, is joy. And that's Paul's big secret.
But, and this is crucial, this whole overflow thing isn't just some private, personal feeling. What we're going to look at next is what happens when that joy actually spills out into the world. Because it doesn't just change you, it can actually change history.
The idea here is that what's inside us never really stays inside us. Our beliefs, our loves, even our indifference, they all create ripples. They can't help but spill out and touch the people around us, our family, our friends, our community. And you can kind of trace the path of these ripples, right? It starts with you, something personal, internal, then it touches your closest relationships, then it starts to show up in your work, your day-to-day life. And before you know it, what started as this tiny thing inside one person is actually out there, making history. Now, the source throws out a pretty serious challenge here. It's kind of like an authenticity test. It says if what you believe on the inside doesn't spill out and make a real difference on the outside, then you have to ask yourself, is it even real? Is it just a nice idea, a fantasy? Or even worse, are you just being a hypocrite? So this whole spilling out idea isn't just a nice theory, not at all. Paul gives us this incredible real-world case study in another one of his letters, a super short one, written to a guy named Philemon, and it shows this overflow in action. Okay, so the story is about two guys, Philemon and Onesimus. Philemon is the boss. He's a respected guy in the community, and he's a slave owner. Onesimus is one of his slaves. And you have to understand, in their world, that relationship was set in stone. The power dynamic was absolute. Now here's what's wild. Both of these guys, the slave owner and the slave, end up embracing this new faith. But they weren't trying to start a revolution. They weren't signing up to be social activists.
They had no clue that this personal decision was about to put them on a collision course with the entire social structure of their day.
But that's exactly what happened. Paul's letter is the spark. He tells Philemon to welcome Onesimus back, not as property, not as a slave, but as a brother. I mean, think about that. That is the overflow made real. A belief on the inside completely upends a relationship on the outside. It creates a brand new future for these two men, and you could even argue it plants one of the very first seeds for a world without slavery. So that leaves us with a pretty big question to chew on. What Paul's letters are saying is that this kind of joy, this faith, isn't just for you. It's not supposed to be kept to yourself. It's a force that is meant to spill out and change things. So if that's true, if joy and faith really do overflow, you have to wonder, what kind of history are they making in our world right now?